guys, what's going on? This is Travis P11. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Well guys, today we're going to do just a basic field disassembly and cleaning field strip and disassembly of the Christensen Arms Model 14 Ridgeline. Now this rifle is chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor, so you're going to want to make sure you get yourself a 30 caliber bore brush or bore snake at the beginning, and that'll make it a lot easier for you to clean it out and save you some time. But this rifle is on loan to us from Stan, the owner of SS Pawn in Lexington, Nebraska. SS Pawn's been a long-time supporter of the channel. Stan loans us firearms from his private collection. We're able to take those out and shoot them and bring it to you guys on the channel. And do give SS Pawn a call, and they will take care of all of your firearms needs. We'll go over just the basic tools you're going to need in order to take this apart, clean it. It doesn't take a whole lot. And if this is your first rifle, congratulations, you got a beauty. If you're already well versed in rifles, maybe you just want to watch this video to get a closer look at what the rifle looks like up close and personal if you've never seen one before. It's a very cool rifle. It's got a lot of neat materials in the build. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, here we go. Okay guys, so even though we just got back from the range, we want to ensure that the firearm is in fact unloaded. So go ahead and lift up on the bolt handle and pull back. Just go ahead and put your finger in the chamber, make sure there's no round in there. And if you want, you can go ahead and open up the floor plate magazine. So push the little button right here on the trigger guard, and that will pop open. Okay, there's a little spring on there with the follower. Okay, there's no rounds in the rifle. Let's go ahead and put that back in. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our next step. Okay, our next step is the removal of the bolt. So all you have to do is push the bolt release lever. Push that button right there, and the bolt will come right out. Go ahead and set the bolt off to the side, and we will move on. Alright guys, so tools of the trade for just a basic cleaning job. No surprises here, we just need some cotton swabs or Q-tips. I got a 30 caliber bore snake. This is a Hoppy's brand. You can use a traditional cleaning rod if you want to with the bristle brush and the barrel mop and all that fun stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. I like to use the bore snake. At the end of the season I might take the cleaning rod down it with some solvent and so on. But for now this makes the job a lot easier. Some cotton patches. You can use some cut up cotton t-shirts if you want to. Get these at Walmart if you want to buy them, otherwise you can cut up some t-shirts and they'll do the same thing. Old toothbrushes sitting around, if you're done with them, just wash them off, and you can use them to clean off any kind of buildup you might have, say on the bolt or inside the receiver. You can also get some dedicated gun brushes. These are just one of a set of about 4 that I got, a Hoppy's brand or Allen brand, just in my local Walmart. Now we do have this single piece cleaning rod here. What we're going to do with this is we're going to use this to go into the receiver and clean into about the throat area just with the cotton patch. It's got a little bit of rem oil on it. We're not actually going to push this down the barrel. Just kind of get inside, make sure we don't miss any of the nooks or crannies and so on. Now when it comes to actual cleaning solutions or solvents or oils or whatever, I'll bounce between either Safariland CLP or rem oil, and I get some pretty incredible feedback from people. There's people that hate this stuff, there's people that are dedicated to frog lube, people that are dedicated to Ballistol. You use whatever you want to use, I really don't care. Use something. I mean, that's the most important thing. Some guys like to use WD-40, and that's fine too if that's what you want to do. I've been using rem oil and CLP for probably close to 30 years now, something like that, 25 years, and I've never had a problem with it, any kind of rust or any kind of malfunction or whatever. And then always we need ourselves a nice hot cup of coffee because it's 10:45 at night on a Friday, and I want to go ahead and get this cleaning video finished. It makes the job a lot easier. Got some Black Rifle Coffee Company 5-finger Death Punch blend, just what we need to get our Friday revved up again. So let's clear this stuff out of the way, and we'll go ahead and clean that bolt off. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this really cool bolt cleaned up here. Now it does have some like spiral cuts into it. It's got some of a fluted design, I guess you could say. I just have a little bit of rem oil on some of these patches here. And I did ask the owner before I got this rifle, I said, do you have a cleaning preference? Do you mind whatever I use? And he said, no, don't worry about it. So again, I like this because it leaves kind of a protective sheen on the parts, but it doesn't leave them all dirty and filthy, which is kind of nice. We're going to wipe everything off, and it's going to look like it's kind of coated, and then we're just going to go over it with an even lighter patch of oil just to leave the thin protective coating on it. Okay. Now you can disassemble these bolts, but I would recommend that you go online and look up a video on how to do it, or refer to your owner's manual just so you know what you're doing, because you don't want to mess anything up or break anything or put something back the wrong way. Again, the bolts, you can fire quite a few rounds from before you need to clean them. I did buy a Remington 710 chambered in 243. The owner said he'd put probably 150, 200 rounds through it and never cleaned the bolt over years and years and years. And I took it apart and cleaned it, and believe me, it needed it. Again, just make sure you give everything a nice good wipe off, and you can see we got a little bit of spent powder residue on there. In the front, you want to be careful. You don't want to get any kind of debris down the hole where your firing pin is. So I just like to take a cotton swab that has just a little bit of rem oil on it. Just kind of wipe out the inside. You can kind of get around the area of the extractor right here. There you go.
Okay. Again, you want to make sure nothing goes into that hole where that firing pin is, and just make sure it's nice and clean. You can hit that with a brush just gently if you want to. Just going to wipe off the front of it real quick with a somewhat damp patch. Again, you don't want to over lubricate these parts. You don't need to. They just need a thin protective coating just for friction, and just enough to make it easier for you to clean next time and kind of prevent any kind of rust from getting on there. So kind of get behind that extractor a little bit. This is fairly clean. We do shoot some fairly high quality ammunition through it, so really no issues that we've faced so far with it. Okay, so I'm going to go over this with just the lightly coated patch, and then we're just going to go ahead and set that off to the side. Again, you can get into the flutes if you want to, but this thing cleans like a piece of cake. And also, if you give your guns, your parts, a nice cleaning the first time, when it comes time to go back and do it again, you'd be surprised at how much faster and easier it is now that you've already put that little coat on there. So, all right, let's go ahead and take that bolt and just set that off to the side. And we will move on to the inside of the receiver. And just a little kind of word of caution, if you don't have any kind of caps on your lenses for your scope, you might want to make sure you're not spraying anything around it. You don't want to get any coatings on there and then take it out to the range or take it out on your hunt and realize that you got oil on the lenses, so do be careful when you spray around this. Just go ahead and push on the button underneath the trigger guard here to release the box magazine floor plate, I guess you could say. And or just magazine floor plate. Kind of pull that off to the side a little bit. I just got a little bit of rem oil on some patches. We're just going to go ahead and wipe off the follower. You can kind of give it just a general wipe off. Make sure everything's got just a nice little coat. As usual, okay, you can go and wipe out the inside, but it's nice and clean, no problems there. You can then go ahead and access the receiver from underneath. This has a nice polished steel receiver, aluminum receiver. It's really nice, cleans up real well. All you got to do is just kind of get in there a little bit and just wipe all around. Make sure that there's no built up or debris in there from shooting. There we go. Kind of get in there a little bit in this channel. And then you can get your finger in there just a little bit and you'll start to see that we've got the powder inside the throat of the receiver where the round chamber's fully. We are going to go ahead and move over and use the cleaning rod and push it through the rear of the receiver here in order to get that cleaned out. So just go over it, wipe it off a little bit, take a few minutes. You know, just make sure it wipes clean with the patch when you get done with it. Again, you don't want to over lubricate. Alright. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to getting that patch inside the receiver and just kind of scrubbing things out a little bit. Okay, so you can just go ahead and just kind of scrub in there a little bit. Again, you can just use 1 or 2 patches if you want to, and then kind of get in the upper area of the receiver towards the front. Again, you don't want to go into the barrel, but we're going to go ahead and clean that barrel out here in just a little bit with the bore snake, and you can see what comes off on that. You can run a couple patches through this, maybe repeat this 3-4 times max, and after that you should have a nice clean inside the receiver. Again, this is also going to leave behind a nice protective coat to protect those internals from any kind of rust and make sure that everything has a proper lubrication. So I'm going to run a couple more patches through it, and then we'll move on to cleaning out the barrel. Okay guys, in order to prep the bore snake, what I like to do is just spray a little bit of the oil or lubricant in front and in back of the bristle brushes. And that's going to kind of leave a bit of a streak inside the barrel. And believe it or not, it actually does leave that little bit of a coating that we're looking for. I would recommend that you do this 3 to 4 times. And then what you want to do is just shine a flashlight down the rear of the receiver so you can look down the barrel. It should be nice and shiny. You should be able to see the rifling. Again, you should not see any kind of sediment or any kind of debris inside the barrel. If you don't, then the barrel is going to be clean. So let's go ahead and move on to cleaning out the barrel. Sorry about that, guys. Got to do a little cleanup here. Okay, next thing you want to do is just go ahead and take the weighted end of your bore snake and just go ahead and tilt the rifle down a little bit. You can go from the very back of the gun if you want to, or from the side. It's up to you. I usually go from the very back. And the weight on the string is going to pull the string down through the barrel. And eventually the weight's going to come out the front here. There we go. Okay, then all you got to do is just go ahead and push that string off to the back and just slowly pull the bore snake through. Okay. There we go. There we go. And then the rear of that bore snake is going to act like a moth. And it's going to go ahead and wipe all that sediment, take all that sediment with it. So I'm going to do that another 3 times. You don't need to see that on camera, and then we will come on and move on to the next step. Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and just remove the end of the muzzle. I apologize if this gets out of focus, but there's some crud here on the end of the barrel. So we're going to go ahead and just take that off. To clean it, you can just go ahead and wipe it out with some Q-tips in the front if you want to. You may need to take a brush to it, okay, if you've got any kind of buildup inside of there, so just kind of keep that in mind. I'm just going to go ahead and just again use a lightly oiled patch. Okay, with a little bit of rim oil on it. Just going to go ahead and wipe it out and see if it cleans out okay. If it does, I'm then going to take a Q-tip to it and just kind of go through and make sure that's nice and clean. After that, just go ahead and leave a real thin coat of oil on the threads for the end cap for the barrel, for the threaded barrel. And you're going to put that back on. You're going to go ahead and screw it back on, and we'll move on to the next step. Real simple. Okay guys, at this point we're going to go ahead and just use again, just a real thin coat of oil on this, not a lot of rim oil on it, just enough to just spray it one time and go ahead and just wipe off all the metal surfaces on the outside, upper part of your receiver. Also you can wipe off your trigger guard, I believe that's also metal, and your trigger too. Okay, again the gun is empty so you don't have to worry about that. As for the barrel itself, again I'm just going to have just a real light coat of oil that I'm going to wipe on the barrel. Okay, but then I'm going to go ahead and take a dry patch to the barrel and wipe it off so that there's no residue left on it, and that's just going to basically clean it, offer a little bit of protection for it, but rust is not really a problem. So again, make sure that you keep the sprays away from the glass on your scope, put the caps on if you hadn't already done so, and we will move on from there. Alright guys, so that pretty much wraps it up. Reassembly's a piece of cake. All you got to do is just go ahead and take your bolt and put it back into the receiver. It'll line right up and you'll hear a tab click. That means that the little lever's keeping the bolt in place so the bolt doesn't fly out the next time you open it up. Go and close the bolt. Cycle the action a couple times, just make sure that nothing's catching, that it's working the way it's supposed to. And if you are comfortable doing so, feel free to go ahead and dry fire the firearm to ensure that it is in fact functional. And that's pretty much it. So guys, if you like what you see, please like or subscribe. You can check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're also on gunchannels.com, UGEtube, Gunstreamer, guntube.org, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook if I hadn't already said so. And that's pretty much it. So we got a lot of videos coming your way. I hope you enjoyed the range test of this rifle. I had a great time shooting it. I don't want to give it up, but unfortunately it's got to go back. Also, we'll have a little tabletop review of this video posting soon, so make sure you look for that also on the channel. Otherwise, guys, please like or subscribe, and I think that's it. So guys, I want you to have fun, keep your guns clean, be safe, and as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.